Hey folks, welcome back to another review with yours truly, Sam Healey. Today we're taking a look at this guy right here, Argo. Now, Argo was one of the games that I was looking forward to the most from Essenspiel this year, and I was really looking forward to it. I like the theme. I like the semi-cooperative nature of it, to where you are trying to get your astronauts off of a space station that's being attacked by aliens, and I just really enjoyed the theme. I like the artwork. I like the component qualities. I was really on board with this. So let's get down to the table and I'll show you. Then we'll talk about my final thoughts on the game. So here I have a two-player game of Argo set up for you. Two players will sufficiently show you all of the different mechanics that are in the game. It's very simple, it's not difficult at all, but the general gist of the whole thing is that each player is trying to get as many of their astronauts off the spaceship or off the space station as possible, because the space station is being attacked by aliens, and those aliens, who look strangely like scorpions, are going to be trying to eat these guys. Of course, not the robot, because the robot is metal and doesn't taste very good. But anyway, throughout the course of the game, you're simply trying to get as many of these guys off as possible. You want to score as many points as you possibly can. It is semi-cooperative because you're both trying to get your humans off of the space station, but at the same time, you want to be the one that has the most points here. Additionally, you need to have, in order to win, more points than the aliens do. Whenever one of the humans die, they get placed over here, and the next spot shows how many points the alien has. So the more people that get killed, the higher the point total goes for the aliens, and so forth and so on. So you're trying to mitigate how many points the aliens are getting, and if the aliens ever get all the way over here, they automatically win. There's nothing you could do. Doesn't matter how many points you have over here, but you have to have more points than the aliens, and you need to have more points than your opponent. It's got a neat little back and forth there. There are also different levels of difficulty. This is the easy level, but you can also have the medium level, which means that the aliens start with 11 points, or you can have a very difficult level, which the aliens start with 13, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If only 5 people die, then the game's over. So there's ways for you to change the difficulty. This is the 2-player strip, a 4-player strip, and then the 3-player strip as well. So there's all kinds of variability going on here with the different point strips and the difficulty levels as well. So that's a pretty neat thing that we have going for it. But let's go ahead and get to gameplay. Now, during the course of a turn, there are 3 phases. There is the aliens phase, where aliens are moved by the players in the game throughout these different pathways and corridors and rooms. And if they run into any humans, they eat the humans. If they don't, then they don't. Basically, you would simply have, if you have an alien out on the board, he has to move to a neighboring tile. It doesn't say that he has to move towards the humans or anything like that. He just has to move from one tile to another. And then the second phase is the building phase, where you're going to be taking either one of these 3 face-up room tiles or the top one from the deck here and placing it adjacent to one of these rooms that are already out here. So for example, if I wanted to, on my turn, I could take this guy and place him adjacent to another yellow and black striped connection, which is basically a doorway. For example, this would not be okay because I have a wall here and a doorway here, so that's not good. But I could place it like this, or like this, or like this. It just has to match that yellow and black striped entryway. All right, so that would be the building phase, and then I have an action phase where I can move 2 of my astronauts. You cannot move 1 astronaut twice, or I can activate a room if I have a person standing in a room that can be activated, or I can activate 2 different rooms, or I can activate a room and then move somebody. Any combination of those 2 things, moving and activations, I can do 2 of those. These different guys have different abilities on them. The robot is just kind of a generic dude. He doesn't bother the aliens don't bother him. He's just kind of like another guy that's there. Your pilot has the ability to do a couple of things with the escape pods. Once they get onto the board, the escape pods can be moved by the pilot. She can launch the escape pod by herself if she wants to. She can move the escape pod from one part of the station to another, or she can just stay and wait for somebody else to fill that second spot. It just determines on what she wants to do. The Explorer here has the ability to move 2 spaces for just 1 activation. So with 1 move activation, she could go 1-2 like this, or 1-2 like that. The Chief scores double points for most of the things. For example, if he's sitting on one of the escape pods, like if he's sitting on this one right here, he would actually score 6 points instead of just 3. There's also a warehouse tile that if you activate that warehouse, he scores you 2 points. If the Chief does that, he gets 4. There is the Grunt, who is the Space Marine guy, type of guy, who if he walks into a room that has an alien in it, he kills that alien. And he's also harder to kill for the aliens. He has to be alone, basically, in order to be killed by an alien, or together with a robot, because the aliens will not eat the robot. All right, so that's the activation phase is simply, I'm going to move this girl here, and then I'm also going to move the Grunt once out here. So on Yellow's turn, the first thing we have to check, is there any aliens on the board? No, there aren't. You might be asking, well, how do the aliens get on the board? And it has to do with these little symbols right here. This is an alien head, in case you can't recognize that, which would be fine, because I didn't at the very beginning either. Whenever you have a tile that has it on here, if this tile gets placed out there, then an alien shows up on that tile. So Yellow could say, well, I'm going to take this guy and place him right here like this, which puts an alien out there. Now, having placed the tile, now it goes into the actions phase, and we want to try to go kill that guy. So we're going to move our Grunt in there, and now if the Grunt can only move 1, so now he's kind of stuck, which means that on my turn I'm probably going to move him over there. But there's this little thing called chain reactions. If you can see here, the corridors have these different meeple symbols on them. There's 1 here, and then over here on this one there's 2 here. This means that 2 people can be in this room, while only 1 can be in these corridors here. So if that's the case and somebody else moves in there, this person, whoever is there, has to move out in some direction. And in this case, it's in this direction. So since he's a Grunt, he can kill if he enters a room that has an alien in it. So he would actually kill that and score Yellow 1 point. So that's how chain reactions can happen, and it actually can stream along. For example, if another person moves in here, then that person will have to move here, that person will have to move here, this person will have to move here, and so forth and so on. So that's one thing you do have to keep very close eye on, and is how chain reactions can happen, and if they're going to affect your players or not. And our Explorer here is going to activate this tile. Now, the activation means that we can take this and put it anywhere on the station that we want to. The thing is that everything still has to be connected. You can't split the station that way. So we're going to go ahead and put the thing right here like this, and then we're going to move, and this person is going to go 1, 2 like that, and take up this number 2 spot right there. They look to see that there aren't any aliens that need to be moved. Go on to the building phase, so they turn over this corridor tile that they have to place an alien on, and they can't place it here because of the wall that's there. They also can't place it over here because of the wall that's there, nor here. They could place it here, but that would be disadvantageous. This could possibly hurt green, but there's an opportunity to score some points here, so we're going to place it right there, and an alien gets put on there. Now Yellow has 2 actions that they can do, so we're going to move this guy here, which forces this person to move up here, which forces him or the green one, but we're going to choose this one to move this up here, and now he has to move out as well. So that's how that chain of pushing works there. That was only one move action from him to here. All of these other actions don't actually count as movement. Then we also have another movement ability going on here. So we're going to go ahead and go with 1, 2, taking that final spot up, and that launches the escape pod, giving green 2 points and yellow 3 points. So we'll go up to 4 and 4 here like that. And then this is taken out of the game and removed. And that's basically how the game plays. It ends in one of a few different ways. First of all, it ends if all 6 of the escape pods, there's only 4 used in a 2-player game, but if all of the escape pods have left the station, then the game ends immediately. Whoever is left on the base, of course, doesn't score any points. Or if the last tile is constructed to the station, connected to the station, then the person whose turn it is gets to finish their turn, and then everybody else gets one more turn, moving and activating whatever. And then at the end of those players' turns, then the game would be over. Or if at the start of a player's turn, all of his astronauts are either off the board or are stuck in one of the escape pods so that he cannot move them, then the game also ends as well. And that is also of note there, that if the game does end that way, anybody who is on an escape pod does not score points. And so that would be pretty much of a bummer. So at the end of the game, like I said earlier, whoever has the most points and is also beating the aliens is the winner. If the aliens have the most points, nobody wins, and the game ends that way as well. So let's get to final thoughts. So that is how you play Argo from Bruno Fedudi and Serge Lagette from Flatlined Games. Good names, good component quality, a lot of good things that are going on for this game. I think that the main problem that I had with it is that it just seemed a little bit too basic. There's a lot of good things that are going on in the game. I like the push mechanic where you can, basically push your people onto the next tile without actually having to activate them to move them, or you can push somebody else's person into danger, thus scoring points for those things. And I like those things, but the problem is that you have to walk that tightrope, because the more astronauts you kill on your turn, sure, you're getting points for that, but you're giving the aliens a lot more than just 1 point, usually 3 or more points if you do that. So there's a tightrope that has to be walked here, and that's one of the cool things that I liked about it. That was one of the tension-y parts of the game that I liked, but that wasn't enough. It does play quickly. That's one of its high points, and it does play simply. That's another one of its high points, but I think that it also suffers from this aspect of that many semi-cooperative games suffer from, in that if one person is decidedly not going to win the game, no matter how many or how few humans have been done, they just haven't been able to score the points, what's to keep them from just tanking the game for everybody else and just start killing astronauts left and right, thus moving up the point total for the aliens and maybe even prematurely ending the game that way? Is that the game's fault, though? In part, yeah, it is the game's fault, because that was definitely thought about in the design process, I would imagine. But I think it's also a player problem, so you usually want to play the game in the spirit of the game. But this is one of those games where it's hard to do that, because if you play in the spirit of the game, you're essentially just letting somebody else win, rather than what you should normally do is try to further your own position in a game. And it's difficult to further your own position in this game and at the same time keep it from having it be where it's less difficult for somebody else to win. It's just a very difficult thing to do. Now, the production quality of the game is really pretty good. I think the models were all decent. The tile thickness was very good. The rule book probably could have been written a little bit better, or rather maybe translated into English a little bit better. There were a couple of little small things in there that I noticed, but that wasn't really a big thing. But Flatlined Games did a pretty good job of producing the game. Don't get me wrong there. I think component quality was great. I just think that there's just not a whole lot of game inside the box. Now, one thing that my wife and I were talking about after we played the game a couple times as a two-player aspect is she said that maybe it would be better with another theme, like a more kid-friendly theme, like cats and mice or dogs and cats or something like that, and maybe in a neighborhood where the dogs are trying to get away from all the cats are trying to get away from all the dogs. I don't know. You get the idea where a different theme a different focus in what group or demographic you're going after. Maybe that would spring some new life into the game. I don't know. As it stands right now, I think it's trying to publicize itself as something a little bit more than what it is. So with that being said, I'll give Argo 1 thumb up, but I really wanted it to be 2. It's a decent game. I just don't think it's going to wow a lot of people. It's probably a better game than I would be able to design, so I'm not going anywhere that way. It's more, I wanted more, and I got less from Argo. So that's 1 thumb up from me. We'll see you guys on the flip side.